This is Professor Cummings, and I wanted to talk to you on this video today further about axial loading, but particularly two different types of structures that I want you to be aware of. If we look at this particular structure, you can see that it is fixed at one end. It's fixed here at one end. It's got a very specific length, and if we apply a load to this structure and we wanted to try and figure out what was going on with this beam, it would be pretty easy to figure out what the reactions were as well as what the deformation is. And we could do all that, particularly what the reactions were, just by understanding the equilibrium equations. So we've got a load going in one direction, and we've got a equal and opposite reaction in the other direction. And I'm just going to say the sum of the forces in the x is equal to 0, and I'm just making my coordinate system to where going to the right is positive, and we end up with a fairly straightforward equation that the reaction force of x is equal to the loading force of P. So see the structure, it's in equilibrium, and you can solve it or resolve it with equilibrium equations. A fairly simple structure. Again, make note it's fixed on one side and hanging free on the other, where the load takes place. This sort of equation is called statically determinate, and that is the definition of statically determinate. It's only fixed on one side, and the other side, the other end of the structure of the beam, is actually hanging free. Now, a few more things about statically indeterminate, besides the fact that you can solve them with the equilibrium equations, is the fact there's actually 6 facts that actually go along with this particular type of structure. And the first one, as we had seen before, was that the equilibrium equations are suitable for analysis. That's really all you need to find out what the reaction forces are, and anything else that's going to be going on, bending moments or anything else, shearing forces. You have the equilibrium equations to help you out. Now, 2 of these don't have much to do with axial loading, but they're still applied to statically determinate structures. One is bending moments, and shear forces are independent of the material property. Again, regardless of what property this is, whether it's aluminum, whether it's cast iron, whether it's steel, stainless steel, or whether it's copper, you can find any information you need as far as bending moments and shearing forces without having to know what that material is. Same goes for cross-sectional area. In bending moments, not axial loads, is totally independent of the cross-sectional area. But see, these are 2 facts that about statically determinate structures that have nothing to do with axial loading. That's bending moments and shearing forces. But these next few do. So again, looking at this structure, the temperature variations don't cause any stress. Now, we talked about elongation due to thermal stress, thermal input. And one thing to cause stress is you need some sort of a load. And as you can see here, if it's hanging free and this starts to expand due to a temperature change, you will not see any load taking place. The load has to take place. Under some level of constraint. So under thermal, it won't be any stress. It'll just be deformation. Also, there won't be any stress due to lack of fit. Since it's hanging free, that means there's nothing to be constrained against it, so there's no load due to that either. So there's no load due to something being ill-fitted. And then this last one is there's no need for a compatibility equation. Like I said, this goes back to number 1. The equilibrium equations are suitable for analysis. But this number 6 is interesting. What exactly is a compatibility equation? Well, let's go in further and we'll try and explain that in a moment. Now, if we have a structure that is fixed at both ends, as opposed to one side hanging free, we have what is known, and I put this in a different color, a statically indeterminate structure. So now it is indeterminate. Excuse me, yes, statically indeterminate. and we can have the same length. And we can actually apply a load within the structure. You know, I'm in the load here, a little not quite in the halfway point, but we have a load going into one direction on one side of the structure, and something interesting happens. You know, just like with the determinate structure, you end up with reaction forces, but you don't have enough information to solve it, even though this is in static equilibrium. So as you can see, if we put this statically indeterminate structure and we have a load applied to it, you will still get a reaction force, but you'll get a reaction force at both ends. You know, one going this way opposite direction to oppose the load, and one going at the other end that opposes the load. The sum of forces, if it's statically, you know, it's in equilibrium, it will still equal out at 0. So the reaction force going to the right being positive at A and B will still equal to the load being applied of P. So that will still hold true. But as you can see, you got 2 unknowns and you got 1 equation. You know, so you don't have enough information in order to solve this particular problem, at least not yet. So what we can do, and what we need to understand in statically indeterminate, is something else is taking place. This overall deformation from end to end, you know, by definition isn't changing. These ends, these supports, are going to be assumed fixed. And if they're fixed, and this, even with a load in place, you're going to get a total deformation of 0. So the total deformation is going to equal 0. So it won't expand. However, there will be deformation within the beam. So there will be deformation between, you know, where this load is at. So being influenced because this portion of it will be in compression and this portion is in tension. And how much ever this expands, this other side has to contract, but the total has to equal 0. So we end up with a very interesting phenomenon where we know the total deformation is 0, and the deformation to the right of the load, I'm going to make that positive, minus the deformation to the left of the load is equaling out at 0. And that is what's known as a compatibility equation or a compatibility condition, right? So it is the knowledge of how this thing is going to react, the deformation is going to react, this beam is going to react, along with the equilibrium equation. So this is your compatibility equation. So how does the compatibility equation ultimately end up getting used? Well, let's look at this in an example. So we'll take that same beam and let's put some numbers to it. So we got the same beam, and we've called the left end here A, the right end where the load is taking place is going to be B, and the other end where it's fixed is C. And we're going to say the beam is 5 meters long, and it's between 2 fixed supports. It's also going to be made consisting of 1 material and 1 constant area. The cross-sectional area throughout the beam is the same. And we assign a number to that load of 500 newtons. So P is equal to 500 newtons. And we're going to say the load comes into play on the beam 2 meters from point C. So this is 2 meters away from this end here. C, and since it's 5 meters, that means AB is actually 3 meters. All right. So these are our dimensions of where everything is taking place. So what do we want to find? We need to find the reaction forces at A and C. So we're trying to find what's going to happen here at A and C. So we break this down, put it in a little more concise way. Segment AB is 3 meters, segment BC is 2 meters. We've got a load going to the left, and we know the beam is indeterminate. We're going to set up our coordinate system. I'm setting it up so that going to the right is positive. You could actually do this with it to the negative. Just make sure you follow your signs. And I have a free body diagram. So a little more simplified Freebody diagram showing my reaction forces. So I got the 500 Newton load, and we've got a reaction at A and a reaction at C. And we have where everything's taking place. So 2 meters from C is where the load takes place, which leaves 3 meters in segment AB. And again, we know this side is in compression and this side is in tension. So this side is getting stretched, this side is getting squeezed. We also want to keep in mind that we're going to have some deformation based on this compression here, compression and tension. So let's start off looking at the equilibrium equation. So we know it's going to be an equilibrium. So the sum of the forces, and I'm saying the sum of force going to the right, is equal to 0. So that just simply means that A and C added together minus the 500 going in the opposite direction, keeping our signs, saying true to our signs, is equal to 0, or the sum of A and C is equal to 500 newtons. So the sum of those are equaling out to the load. So again, it's an equilibrium. That makes sense. So now we have to enter in our compatibility equations. Okay, so our compatibility equation, we know what's happening. We know that this overall length is not changing. It's still going to be 5 meters, but we also will know that this portion in compression is going to slightly deform, as well as this one in tension is going to deform. They're going to do the same amount, but in the opposite, with the opposite effect on those particular segments. Now, our compatibility equation shows that that total is going to, again, stay at 0, and that the difference, the amount of tension from BC is going to be equal to the tension or the compression from AB, or since it's compression, it gives it a negative sign, and tension is in positive. So if we substitute this equation for our deformation, we can break down all of the different elements that are going to be taking place. So we know the difference between A and B, or segment BC minus AB, is 0. So if we make that substitution, the reaction force at C times segment BC, the length of segment BC, over the area and the modulus of elasticity, minus the reaction at A times the segment, the length of AB, which is 3 meters, over the area and modulus of elasticity, should equal to 0. So they actually should equal out. The amount of change in one should equal the change in the other. And another interesting thing, since it's all one material and all one area, is that this cancels out. The areas cancel out and the modulus of elasticity cancel out. So what we end up with is that the force of C times the length of BC is equal to the force at A times the length of AB, segment AB. And if we divide both sides by length BC, the length of that segment, we end up with this equation here, that the force of C, that reaction force, is equal to the reaction force at A times the ratio of the two lengths. Now that's interesting, because if we had moved this load P, say at 1 meter, or we could have moved it down here at 1 meter from A, or we could have had it at the 2.5, 50%, 2.5 meter mark, that ratio would change. So that means that the reaction is dependent upon how far along the length that load is put into play. So we know that this, reaction at its F sub C is equal to the reaction at A, F sub A, times the length of AB, which is 3 meters, over the length of BC, which is 2 meters. So the reaction at F is actually 1.5 times the reaction at A. Now, with that knowledge in mind, we've got two equations and we've got two unknowns. So So now we just have to do a little bit of substitution. Since we've set this equal to the value for f sub c, we can substitute into this equation. So we only have one unknown and one equation. So here we have f sub a plus 3/2 of f sub a is equal to 500. That means 5/2 f sub a is equal to 500. And now we can see what our reactions are. And f of a is going to equal 200 newtons. And knowing this compatibility equation still rings true, that means f sub c should equal 300 newtons. And that's it. That's the way of a statically determinate and a statically indeterminate beam and how you would do an analysis. You need the compatibility equation as well as our equilibrium equations. Again, this is Professor Cummings. If this has been helpful, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, or just like the video or dislike the video, and give me your comments down below. All right, thanks a lot.